Hi. A lot of people have been talking recently about Garuda Impact, and with fair reason. This move is very good. Not only does it confirm into Potemkin Buster on hit, but it leads to great mix-ups on block. So, what can you do about it as the defender? While not necessarily the best option, one thing that you can do, especially if you're not in the corner, is just backdash it. Yes, you do take damage, a decent amount at that, but it gets you far away from Potemkin and out of the mix-up. This is a fairly safe option, disregarding the amount of health that you lose, and sometimes might be worth it. Additionally, if the Potemkin is trying to do some shenanigans with doing the Garuda really early so they can be like plus a million because of how meaty you'll be hitting, you'll backdash it and maybe be able to punish, I don't know. But I wouldn't really rely on that because, you know, that's very variable. It might not always be the case. But what if, you know, that's not a thing that you can do easily. Maybe you're in the corner. If you're in the corner, this just puts you in the exact same situation, and you'll just kill yourself if you keep on trying to do it. So don't do that. It's dumb. So if you're in the corner, or you're low on health, something like that, what are your options? What if you want to block the low and jump over the grab? Like you want to option select both of those. Well, sometimes you can. Sometimes, against less experienced Potemkins or Potemkins that just don't know, you can actually option select both the grab and the low attack. If you look at the dummy's inputs, you can see what I'm doing. So, as you might have noticed, they're holding down back while they're invulnerable to throws, but can still be hit by lows if they block them incorrectly. And the second that they become invulnerable to throws, they jump back up. That way they can avoid the throw. Now, this does work against Potemkins who do not time their 2D well, because because if they do it too early while you're still in your guard crushed, you can do this because they're not going to be able to grab you during that time. This is their only option. But if they're more experienced, they can obviously just hit you during your pre-jump and you'll get knocked down and you'll be stuck in this situation anyways. So this isn't an always reliable tactic, but I think it is pretty important to know, especially against less experienced Potemkins. And even if you're playing against experienced Potemkins, you're making their job very slightly harder if you know this tactic. So I think that's worth having. Now, if you've played a character with an invincible DP before, this has probably happened to you before. Or at least some variety. And this just, you might have just uninstalled the game right here, because what the fuck? Why is my invincible DP, the whole point of which is to kind of avoid meaty attacks, why is it that he can just do that? That makes no sense. Well, it's because the move is clashing. And during clashes, both characters can do anything. They can cancel themselves into anything. You can cancel into flawless defense, into an attack, grab, command grab, anything. They can do literally anything, except maybe Roman cancel. I mean, maybe they can, honestly, I don't know. They can do very much during this. They can cancel into just about everything. But this isn't a property that's exclusive to Potemkin or anything. Both characters can do this during a clash. You can do pretty much anything after this. You can flawless defense, do far slash your soul or something, gun flame, command throw, literally anything. If the Potemkin sees you or thinks you're gonna flawless defense, they can obviously do something like that, which is pretty bad. But you can of course stuff this with, you know, if you're playing like any character. Since he usually has to Kara from the range, you're gonna have a button that's fast enough to stuff it. You'd also obviously jump after the faultless defense and then, you know, punish his whiff animation. You can do a lot of things. Now, of course, as this player, I can just not do anything. You can't clash cancel something that's not there. And of course, I can then punish. So don't get too crazy with it. But This is a pretty important tool to have if you know that they're going to go for Garuda Impact. Because it essentially puts both of you in a position where you can do anything. Some characters additionally have metered reversals, which are vulnerable to the exact same time. If you're playing as a character that has a metered reversal like this, maybe don't do it, but if you do it, you can of course faultless defense cancel the clash, and you won't get your meter back, but you will be out of the situation. Additionally, some characters' reversals are either too slow or too fat for this to really work in Potemkin's favor. Characters like Axel and Faust, who have pretty slow reversals, they will not clash because they just come out so late. Although this sometimes ends up in Potemkin's favor if he spaces himself correctly and/or does the attack too early enough, because you'll be invincible, but he'll recover before your attack actually comes out. So if you're playing like Faust, maybe don't go with your meter reversal. You can lab this out yourself. I just know that move is really slow, and if Potemkin does this like early enough, you're not gonna clash, and he's gonna recover before your reversal comes out, and then you're gonna get Potemkin bustered. Characters like Ramathal, which have fucking huge metered reversals, can just blow right through this. Potemkin cannot clash with it in any meaningful way. Finally, don't let Potemkin players get more Garuda mix-ups than they should. If you're getting knocked down from like this kind of distance, you should not be getting hit by things like Garuda Impact. If you notice that Potemkins are trying to do Garuda Impacts from ranges like that where it's not true, don't let them. If you see that this is something that Potemkin players are the Potemkin player that you're fighting does a lot, they like knock you down a slide head, move like halfway across the screen, and you're just blocking the Garuda anyways, I would say that's your fault, because you're letting him get away with it and letting him run his mix-up. But don't rely on this too much, because Potemkin has moves that can frame trap you that aren't Garuda Impact, namely Close Slash. You're just gonna have to block that, and it's a less vicious mix-up, but it's still pretty bad because this move is +4 on block, and you can delay Gatling or go for a Potemkin Buster if you just sit there. But I think that's about it. Have a nice day, and hopefully you've learned a thing or two about Potemkin and Garuda Impact, and just maybe you can defend against it a little bit more.